So I was there. Where the fuck was I?
I'm pretty sure you were there.
I'm pretty sure I was
like
too. I know I was logistically, like in my timeline. Yeah, I was there. Yeah. No. Anyways.
I remember like
Yeah.
everybody being in there.
I must have been busy and just like in my own fucking
Everybody was
world.
working.
Yeah. Sorry. Well, now look at us. Now look at what we're doing. Yeah. Hi, I'm James Kerr. I'm a tattoo artist, musician, and a trauma survivor. Been on this healing journey for a long time now, and it's led me here talking to you. I enjoy talking about heavy stuff like life, death, spirituality, trauma, and ways to cope with trauma. But it's not all serious. I like to joke a lot too. Welcome to the Fire of Truth podcast. Would you like an Altoid?
Yes.
Okay, me too. I like to start. So far, I've been starting every episode off with an Altoid, and
A little ritual.
MK was like, "No thanks." I was so mad. It is a little ritual. I wasn't really that mad. I wasn't mad at all. More for me.
Mm-hmm.
Roxy, welcome to the podcast. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, yes. So let's get the social media stuff out of the way so that way I can put it in the bottom of the screen here. Roxy Andrade, is that how you say your last name? Did I butcher it? Because I'm going to butcher a lot of words today, I think.
Andrade.
Andrade.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. And your Instagram handle is?
Stavnastik.
Stavnastik?
Stavnastik.
Stavnastik?
But the TL is sounds. Yeah. Stavnastik.
Stavnastik?
Nestik.
Nestik.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Nestik.
that's amazing. And what does that translate to?
It translates to dawn, and I chose it because my name is Roxanne.
Okay.
And what Roxanne means is dawn, so I kind of just translated into Nahuatl. Yeah.
And that's the name of the people that language comes from?
Yeah, there's different tribes
Mhm.
in Mexico or areas that speak that language, so it's not really like specific to one group of people, but that is one of the most common languages that's spoken.
See, I didn't know any of this. This is great. Okay. Fuck yeah. Can you spell that so we can get you on Instagram and that way I spell it correctly when I edit this?
It's TLANEX. TIC.
All right.
And then dot tattoos.
Dot tattoos. TATTOOS.
Yes.
Thank God I could spell that word. I got one of those. Yeah. Dude, that's amazing. So I didn't realize that because I know more about the indigenous cultures here in Northern California because of where I growing up in Hoopa, around the Hoopa and the Yurok and the Karuk people, mainly. And then the Wiyok tribe that are from where we're sitting now.
Yeah.
Here in Humboldt. Yeah, we're on Wiyok land right now. So that is amazing. And that's not Spanish is, and I had a conversation with someone the other day. I was tattooing his tattoo on his chest, and he brought something to light, and he feels like his defense against not being able to speak Spanish, the best one I ever heard was like, that's the colonizer's language.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And like, so when you see Mexican people that can't speak Spanish, you're like, well, that's actually pretty good, right? Like, So I never really thought about it that way, and that kind of blew my mind. It's like, yeah, of course, it's from Spain.
Yep.
Right. I've kind of been asking this from all the people that I work with, like, what brought you here? What brought you to tattooing? And, what was your journey here like? How did that kind of start? Like, you can even like go as far back as you want to kind of what brought you to this place, into the tattoo industry.
Into Humboldt.
Yeah, into Humboldt. Yeah, like you didn't grow up here, right?
Mm-mm.
No? Okay. We'll start there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I was born drawing.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
with a pencil.
Yeah, came out with a pencil, yeah.
So I grew up in the Central Valley, which is 7 hours south of here, Humboldt.
Okay.
A little conservative town called Dinuba. and it's 40 minutes south of Fresno. So if you know where Fresno's
Right.
at,
Go
then
south.
yeah,
Right.
it's near there. And I grew up there, and I pretty much always had art in my life. And when I was growing up, I didn't really, I was the only child for a little while. So I would just be drawing.
I would say I know what that's like, but I don't remember.
And my mom would take me to work with her because she worked in an office. And so I had to sit quietly and
Just draw.
just entertain myself.
Right.
And so what I would do, I would just draw all the time. And so I feel like that's definitely what trained that side of my brain
Right.
to how to draw. And I really enjoyed it. It was just like a nice like activity for me to do. And so throughout school, took art classes. I tried to be involved and just make art all the time. I ended up becoming the person that like would make like custom art for people. And it would just be like posters or just like random like customized like drawings and stuff. And in middle school, I would draw on people during class.
Oh, yeah.
And I would give them tattoos with pens and Sharpies. And I just love that that's kind of where it started. Where I was just like, I love the idea of art on your body. So it kind of like fed into that. And so once I graduated, I definitely wanted to have like a career in art, but I didn't really know what. I ended up
And you graduated in the Central Valley in a high school there? Okay.
Yeah.
So you spent your whole childhood there.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And I had applied to a fashion institute, FITM, that's in LA, and I got in. And so my plan was to go to fashion school. And I was like, this is still my vibe. I love like clothing, and I really like wanted to do like designs on shirts too, because I was like, okay, like I can pursue this career and still be creating and making art, because I really wanted to do that. And that didn't work out.
Oh, yeah.
Because school in LA is very expensive. My parents unfortunately weren't able to support me to like pursue that because it's so expensive.
Yeah.
And I would have to live in LA on top of like the school fees. So
Expensive on top of expensive. Right.
so that dream was kind of just crushed because I wasn't realistically going to be able to go. Even though I had applied, we visited, I went.
Right.
And my mom was just like, okay, well, just get a job and start saving money, like figure out like what you want to pursue.
Right.
So I started to do that. I just got little jobs here and there. Then I wanted to go do special effects makeup in Hollywood, and I was
Why
like,
wouldn't you though? All of that sounds amazing to me. Right.
and I loved the idea of that. But again, like a lot of those art schools don't accept FAFSA money.
Right.
So I was like back at square one, like, okay, I can't afford this. Like, I'm going to have to wait.
For all you non-students out there, FAFSA is the federal financial aid stuff that college students can apply for. Forget what the acronym stands for. FAFSA, Federal Association for Assholes. I don't know. Yeah.
But yeah, so I got kind of sad because I like really loved the idea of like creating, because I took a ceramics class in high school and I loved working with clay too. Just anything creative I was enjoying. So at this point, I was working different little jobs and still selling art on the side.
Yeah, on the side.
Just like little customs here and there. And then I had like 2 people that were like, oh, can you draw my tattoo design? And then I'll go get it tattooed. And then I was like, okay, yeah, like that's a lot of pressure.
Right.
But I'll draw it, but I'm not in charge of tattooing.
Yeah, I don't have to do the tattoo. I just have to design it. Yeah.
And then I had some people that were just like, why don't you do the tattoos and like pursue that? And I was just like, dang, you're right. I probably should. I feel like that would fit me really
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
And so once that idea got put in my head and I looked at it and it was pretty realistic for me to try to strive for, I there was a tattoo artist in the valley that one of my friends was familiar with and was like, oh, you should try to like be his apprentice and whatnot. And at the same time that this was going on, I had friends that lived up here in Humboldt
Oh,
that were going to Cal Poly, and they were like, you should come live up here, it's so pretty. And I ended up coming to visit them when they graduated, and I kind of just fell in love with the atmosphere.
Yeah.
Because I grew up in the valley. It's
right.
really hot there. It's just agriculture.
Right.
It's not green at all.
Right. No, it's very brown. I've been through there quite a few times. Yeah.
So I fell in love with the
Lots of cows.
forests. Yes, there's lots of dairy farms down there.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, the forest. I love it.
The forest and the ocean just called me over. So I was like, okay, maybe I'm just gonna like pursue like moving out of the valley and trying to come over here. So I had some job office experience at the time, like being an assistant, and so I started applying to jobs up here to, you know, afford living.
Right.
And
Right. It's pretty expensive up here too, even though maybe
at that time it wasn't though,
okay,
compared to down there.
Right.
So I was like, this is realistic.
Okay.
And then I ended up getting a job as a receptionist at a cash benefit like assistance program for Native families. And that's once I got that job, I moved up here immediately. And I was like, okay, like
that sounds almost like
I'm starting my life now.
Right. Yeah.
Because that was the first time I moved out of my parents' house too.
Right.
So I flew out of the nest officially when I moved up here.
Right. It was like nothing and then everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
And my two friends that I had at the time that were living here, they left. So I was completely alone.
Wow.
But I really enjoyed that the company that I was working with, they were like family, and they were that extra support that I needed because I was up here by myself at the time. And
how did your family feel about what you were doing, what you were trying to do? Did they know?
They did.
Yeah.
I mean, ever since I was younger, I would always say like, I'm gonna live by the ocean, because we'd go to visit,
right?
And I just loved being at the beach, and I was like, I'm gonna live by the ocean.
Yeah.
Just
so they
watch.
knew. You knew.
And my mom.
It's like you manifested it from like an early age, huh? Yeah.
My mom was like, okay, well, good luck. It's super expensive to live by the beach.
I mean, yeah, if you're having a beach house in LA or like in San Diego, for sure, it's super expensive.
And like at the time, like I wanted to go to San Diego too.
Yeah.
So she was like,
yeah, I lived in Oceanside in San Diego County for 2.5 years. It was definitely expensive back in like 2001 to about 2003 when I lived there. It was but shit.
But the beach.
Yeah, the beach was right there. Right, I know, that was pretty neat. The beach was fucking awesome. Yeah. Anyways, this is your story, not my story. Shit.
So at the time, there was like a little bit of family drama going on where my parents were kind of like coming to terms to splitting up. And so at the same time, when I was trying to move, that's when, like a month after I moved away, is when they moved, like they separated. So yeah, my mom was like, you could stay, you could live with me, but realistically, like I was gonna have to look for my own place if I would have like didn't take the opportunity to move and like take the job up here.
Right.
And I was so excited to move up here. My dad wasn't really like speaking to me at the time, so he was just like, okay, like you're leaving.
Right.
And I was just like, bye.
Right. Seems like he's dealing with a lot.
He was dealing with his own stuff at the time. But yeah, my mom was definitely like shocked that I did it and was leaving. And she
was that kind of like, I can imagine, I'm just speculating that might have been difficult for you to like weigh that like what your needs were as an adult versus, you know, that child part of you going, hey, I want to keep my parents together. Was that ever an issue for you? Yeah. Okay.
Very much was, because I have 2 younger siblings, and I definitely was
so you're
like a consistent supporter to them in the dynamic. So it was definitely hard to be like, all right, like you guys are gonna be good, and I gotta go.
I have to do this. I'm on. Yeah.
It was time for me to go. I was 21 when I moved out.
Yeah.
And so it was just time. Like, I didn't know how to just take care of me. It was always putting other people first.
Right.
So it was definitely time, and I had a lot of time alone when I moved up here.
to kind of process everything, even though you didn't want to, right? Right. Hi, this is James. Thank you so much for watching and listening to this podcast. If you're watching on YouTube right now, do me a huge favor and give it a like and subscribe to the channel. If you're listening to whatever platform you listen to podcasts on, you could rate it, you could review it, you could share it with a friend as well. That would help me out a lot. Either way, thank you very much.
But it was good. It was a good new start, and then
it's one of the things that I keep hearing in these conversations about people in their apprenticeships and stuff, or even trying to, is the sacrifices they make to the relationships that are probably the most important. You know, we kind of have to. I did it, like Ted did it. I know Alex has done it. Like you know, yeah. So go ahead, continue. I'm sorry. Just a common thread though. It was fucking hard, huh? Yeah. Jesus.
So yeah, after I moved up here, then that's when I was like, okay, like I'm gonna have this job full time so I could pay my bills and like / save money, so then I could pursue an apprenticeship, because I knew I was gonna have to quit my job essentially and just do the apprenticeship. So I was working on that, and I ended up buying a machine. And because I just wanted to like start, I wanted to get the hang of it.
What kind of machine was it?
I don't remember.
It's like a dragonfly or some shit, or dragon
I wanted to get that one, but I couldn't even afford that one.
All right, yeah.
But it was like a little like package deal.
Oh yeah,
fucking Amazon.
Yeah, okay, gotcha.
And they were coil machines.
Oh,
too.
okay, yeah.
So I did start with coil, not rotary.
Nice.
And yeah, it was crazy, because I was just like, damn, like this is intense, because I wanted to get the hang of it, because I watched like some stuff off YouTube,
right?
And I had gotten like fake skin, and then I also had a couple friends that were like down. They're like, I trust you.
Yeah.
You know how to draw. You can tattoo.
That's how it started for me too. Like I had, though I didn't have a nice coiled machine from Amazon, I had this prison gun. I'll call it a gun, with like a sharpened guitar string and a Walkman motor and shit. Like, and my friend was like, built this thing for me and handed it to me. He's like, tattoo me. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah.
But actually, before I bought the machine, I was doing stick and poke. I tried that first. So it was just like the needles from the coil machine.
Okay.
And then I would have them with a popsicle stick. And so I would just be able to do the stick and pokes like that.
Oh, yeah.
And so I had like 2 friends, I think, that I had done that on, and really got like the feeling of what it was like to work on skin with the stick and poke first.
Yeah.
So then after I got like the feeling and just of that, like time passed, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna get a machine, like see what that feels like.
Yeah. And
that was a lot more intense.
Yeah. It goes a lot faster. Yeah.
But then there was a shop in Eureka that was near my job, because I was just like looking around and seeing which shop was gonna be my vibe, so I can go start asking for apprenticeships.
Right.
And so I went to that one, and I think I had a portfolio with me, but it was just like my random drawings. It
I see.
wasn't very put together.
Right. You don't know what you don't know, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the owner of that shop was like, okay, like you need to do like tattoo designs. And so they were like, go draw like 10 like flash sheets, watercolor. And I was like, okay. Like, and so then I took my sweet time doing that and was still like getting tattooed different places. And I had one of my coworkers at that office I worked at that knew her husband knows Ted.
Okay.
And she was like, and I had told people at the office too that I was like, I'm trying to tattoo. Like, this is my other like goal I have in life. And so they knew where I was heading. And she was like, oh, like there's this tattoo shop. You should like come meet him, see if like you like it, and see if he's looking for an apprentice. And so I was like, okay. And she said that her husband, I think, and her, they both got tattoos from Ted that day.
Okay.
She was like, just come and like hang out while we get tattooed.
Right.
So I was like, okay, I'll go do that.
How you do it. That's how you do it.
So,
Yeah. Throw yourself to the wolf.
so I went, and I remember going in there, and everybody's tattooing. There's all kinds of people at the old shop.
Yeah, the old location. I wasn't there at the time, huh? Where was I?
Don't remember.
When was this? Was this during the pandemic or like right before it or something?
This was like 2018, I think.
So I was there. Where the fuck was I?
I'm pretty sure you were there.
I'm pretty sure I was
like
too. I know I was logistically like in my timeline. Yeah, I was there. Yeah. No. Anyways.
I remember like everybody being in there.
I must have been busy and just like in my own fucking
Everybody
world.
was working.
Yeah. Sorry. Well, now look at us. Now look at what we're doing.
Ted was working too.
Yeah, totally.
But he was just like gabbing away with his friend, and so I was just listening, and then just kind of like getting a sense of the vibe of the shop too. And I kind of briefly had told him like how I was kind of pursuing this. He had just like mentioned how it's a very like serious trade to get into, and that people need to remember that we have to be safe because we're working with needles, and just like the other side of tattooing that people don't always talk about. And so I appreciated that he mentioned that, and he just like gave a little bit of advice with things, and I was like, okay, and like
sounds exactly like Ted.
It was like and I was like, okay, this is like, it seems like good energy in the shop. So I was like, I feel like I can come back. And then I was also getting tattoos from people to like get to know them, and getting to know the shops, because that's how you like get into and really like experience what people are like, is like how they treat their clients. So I wanted to get this thigh tattoo that I drew up, and I went into the shop and I was like, hey, like wanted to get an estimate on it, and I like showed Ted like my drawing of, I was like, this is what it is, like you don't have to draw it, I already drew it.
Yeah.
I want it like this. And so he was like, oh, okay, and like made jokes and stuff. And
did he give you the Burger King joke? This isn't Burger King, you can't just have it your way? 'Cause that's one of his favorites. One of my favorites too. He didn't do that? Okay. Well, he must have liked your drawing then.
He was like, this is a big tattoo. So he was like, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And then, so I made the appointment. And then when I went in for it, we were like, talked a little bit more. And I was like, yeah, like I'm interested like in an apprenticeship. I, again, had my, my little portfolio binder. And I had, I think at the time, I don't know if I did have the flash done or not and included it in there. I might have or might have not.
That was good advice too from the first shop you went to. Yeah.
And so after that, like I showed Ted, because I had it with me because I had brought my drawing. And so he's like, oh, like let me see like your drawings. And I was like, it's not ready.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, I didn't like expect like to present it to anybody. I
Right.
just like I was just carrying it around,
Right.
just carrying my drawings around.
Right.
So yeah, he was like, oh, like that's pretty good. Like I could see like these becoming tattoos, like once you like clean them up and make them more like tattooable.
Right.
And so I was like, okay, cool. And so he told me that um that I could come hang out and like see if I vibed with everybody, and if Amy liked me, then I could stick around.
That's a tall order.
I know. So I was like, cool, who's Amy?
Yeah, exactly. I'd like to meet her.
And so at that time, it was like all the guys were in the shop.
Yeah.
And it was just Amy. Amy was
Right.
the only girl.
Right. Yeah.
'Cause
No Abby,
Danny-
no Danny.
Danny
no-
at the time wasn't working there
Right.
fully. So I was just like, all right, I need to get to know Amy.
Yeah, totally. That's my end. Yeah.
But yeah, so he just told me to come in and just hang out, draw, like do the apprentice things and see if it would work out, see how I did. At the time I was still working full time as a receptionist at my job, so it was in Eureka also. So every day I would drive after work, and I got off at 5, and I would drive to Arcata
Yeah.
and like be there until they
Till they left, right?
And a lot of the time wouldn't be that late that they'd stay, so I wasn't putting in very much time.
Yeah.
And so ultimately I wasn't putting in enough hours to
Right.
like really experience and get more apprentice experience in there.
Right.
So but I was still like showing up, and I think I was doing that for like 5 or 6 months of just like all my free time. I was going over there and hanging out, cleaning and drawing, and just like listening and watching everybody. And
wow. I did that same shit for 3 months before someone said, I'll take him, and then that guy went to prison, and then I went apprenticed under a different dude, the owner of the shop. Yeah, it's a crazy story. yeah. So I went from one mentor that finally said yeah, and then went to another one after that. Oh,
Yeah. It was a good experience.
Yeah.
I am definitely like I enjoyed like that opportunity that I had.
Yeah.
And at the time he also had another apprentice. So he was still navigating having two at the same time.
And he wasn't trying to have any apprentices too. Like I know Amy had been talking to him like, don't have any more apprentices, and he kept taking on more. And like that's how I got Sonny basically. Is like he took Sonny on, and then Amy's like, come on. And so he's like, dude, can you take Sonny for me? Yeah, totally. Because he wants to help, and that's just his nature. So, and he sees the good in people,
Definitely.
And I love that about him. So, yeah, but okay. And then did you have like a little stint in a school for a while? Like you did a tattoo school as well. So tell me about that. What was that like? And how did that like... How was that like compared?
The pandemic happened.
Right, the fucking pandemic, yeah. And that's right. So that's when because I think now that we're talking about it, I do vaguely remember you being there, and then the pandemic and me taking off for Graybush and making this place so I could have my private studio. That didn't. Then the pandemic fucking happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the timeline was, I was at the tattoo shop, and then I ended up getting. Or Ted kept pushing, telling me that I should just risk it, let go of the job, like pursue this.
Go all in on this.
Like,
Yeah.
And like that's the energy I needed to throw in.
Yeah.
But I was just like, I needed my security.
Yeah.
And at the time, I was pretty much living paycheck to paycheck.
Right.
And like paying all my bills that I had too. So I was like, this isn't realistic for me to quit, or like I didn't feel confident.
Doesn't feel safe
it.
to do that, especially nowadays. It's hard. Like people have like 2 or 3 jobs. Just it's fucking nuts. Right.
And at the time, I was like, okay, like just trying to save money so then I could quit my job and do it. But I ended up getting a promotion at my job, or I applied and then got it. So it wasn't just like given it.
Right.
But it was to become a caseworker. So I went from receptionist to caseworker, which is like slash social work stuff. So I was like, cool. I'm like, this is like exactly what I needed to like be able to reach my goal. But with that being done, Ted was like, you're putting all your energy somewhere else.
Right.
So like you do that, but like you're always welcome back. And like if you're ever wanting to pursue tattooing, like we'll be here to, support you if you need us. So I always appreciated that. And with that, like and then like the next 3 months after that happened, I think, then that's when the pandemic hit.
It was almost like it was like meant to be. Like this place was kind of meant to be for me too. It's like I built this with the intention of like having a private studio, and like being able to like afford my band and go on tour and stuff. It turned out. Then the pandemic happened, and then I had this kind of private studio that I could tattoo safely in, because once tattooing came back, I was able to like just tattoo one-on-one like the state regulations, because they were crazy. They wouldn't let us have more than one artist in the shop. And we couldn't tattoo on people for more than 3 hours. And then we'd have to coordinate our schedule. So I was like, well, fucking, if that's the case, why am I working there? I'll just work here. And that's kind of how, when tattooing did come back, it worked here for a while. Then it was when my dad died. I was like, I need people. I need to go back. That's when I ended up like.
You needed that community.
I need that community. Yeah. So that's I guess what sparked that was like the kind of like the serendipitousness, like the synchronicity of like, you kind of got pushed into like this other job for a little while because they needed all your energy, and you weren't able to give that to the shop. But then like the pandemic hit right at that moment.
Yeah. The universe was just like,
yeah,
wait, don't do it.
Yeah.